Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and with Quentin Tarantino's newest film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, releasing this week, I thought I would take a minute and give you my personal ranking of all the Tarantino films. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. You can also find me over Twitter and Instagram at Movie Guy 365. Okay, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the 9th film by Quentin Tarantino, is opening this week. So I thought it would be fun to do my own personal ranking of the Tarantino films. Now, just a couple caveats. One, I'm going to be including Kill Bill as a single film, as I believe he does. So they're not going to be two separate entries. I'm just going to join them, but I will talk about them in depth. As well as, I'm not going to be covering any of the things that he directed, like TV or little segments in movies, such as movies like Four Rooms or Sin City, or that kind of thing. So it's just going to be straight up his films, all 8 of them as of this week, and then he'll be officially having 9 in the can. So we're going to talk about the 8 that I feel are my personal rankings. So all right, with that out of the way, let's jump into it. And I would say that Tarantino films, and Tarantino himself as a director, is one of the few that I enjoy all of his movies. There aren't any I feel are just terrible movies. I like some more than others. Of course, that's what we have to do with a ranking. But I feel every one has some inherent coolness to it, or a good story, something that attracts me to the film. And of course, there's a couple in there that are little. Well, the one, of course, Jackie Brown, being written by Elmore Leonard, not a direct written by Tarantino project. So we're going to touch on all that right away. All right, so my number 8 is going to be Death Proof. I would say this is probably the closest film that I would say is not essential Tarantino viewing. I understand the whole Grindhouse aspect. I've seen so many Grindhouse films in my life. But I feel that this one took itself way too seriously. I mean, some of the fun about these movies is, yes, they're kind of dumb action story, but you gotta inject some humor into these things. I feel that Rodriguez did that more in Planet Terror, but Tarantino kind of forgot that aspect. And it's still a fun movie, but it's too serious. And I think inherently it kind of suffers from that a little bit. But I do enjoy Kurt Russell, of course, as Stuntman Mike, and it looks like we're getting some kind of iteration of Stuntman Relative in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so that's going to be exciting. But it's still an enjoyable movie, but it's not one I go back to a whole lot. I think I'm going to revisit it again fairly soon because of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but this would be the bottom of my list. Number 7 is going to be Hateful Eight. I enjoy this. I love the cast. But I think it's probably his slowest movie. It's got moments, but I don't know. It's kind of, I feel this is the movie that maybe kind of signifies that he is getting a little too comfortable in the director's chair. And I think it was I don't know. It felt like it was just too long. It dragged on a bit. But when things happen, they do happen. And I understand, writing and certain filmmaking aspects had to be, were included in the movie that just kind of made it that way. But it's also one that I don't go back to terribly often. I would love to see, I think it's the Roadhouse cut. I would love to see that, in a 70 millimeter. I think I would enjoy that a lot. I just haven't had the opportunity, but I do own it on Blu-ray. I would like to see maybe a different cut of this one. I know they exist. So, as it stands, number 7 is going to be Hateful Eight for me. My number 5 and my number 6 were the toughest because I love them both. It's like I didn't want to put them opposite of each other. I feel it's just strange because I love them both so much, and they were just very hard to. I went back and forth, I think, more on these two than I did any others on the list. And so my number 6 is going to be Inglourious Basterds. I absolutely love this one. Christoph Waltz was awesome in this one, and he was so good also in my number 5 pick. But it's just so, I just love this movie a lot. I think the only reason I didn't put this ahead of number 5 was the Inglourious Basterds kind of had this whole mythology in the story, but they show very little of it actually happening. It's mostly relegated to stories and talking about it. But seeing the group not together for most of the film, literally one or two scenes, and then the rest is like part of the group, and then the other part of the group at the end of the movie. I love the movie, I do, but I think that's my one complaint. If they put in a good segment of them all doing something, like, killing the Nazis and everything like that, one scene is really what we get with that. And I felt that was a little bit of disappointment considering the name of the movie, but I still enjoy it. I love it. There's so many good cameos and just callbacks, and just a great story overall. I just absolutely loved it. And of course, number 5 being Django Unchained. I love this movie. I really have no criticisms of it. It's almost perfection to me. It's probably, I think, his highest film as far as where he peaked as a director. I really believe it's Django Unchained. And I would say so much about Inglourious Basterds as well. I think they're both almost equal as far as his raw, the best he got. But, as far as enjoyability, I just had to put these two lower on the list. But come on, Jamie Foxx, Christoph Waltz. I wish Christoph Waltz stuck around a little longer in this one. But it was an amazing film. And DiCaprio just, so awful in this one. Just a terrible guy. And there was just a couple issues towards the end of the film. Just characters that went nowhere. That had like this mysterious Boba Fett thing going on. I believe that was Zoe Bell. And nothing ever came of it. And it was just kind of disappointing that those things just kind of were just throwaway Easter egg kind of things. But I still love the film. I absolutely love it. I wouldn't mind revisiting these characters. I know they've talked about doing a Django Zorro crossover. I would enjoy that. I really would. But anyway, so my number 4 is going to be Jackie Brown, and that was as written by Elmore Leonard. I am a massive Elmore Leonard fan. It was very sad when he passed, but things like Justified and Get Shorty and Out of Sight, the man, I think, was a underappreciated writer. And when I found out that Tarantino was doing an Elmore Leonard novel, I got super excited. I saw the potential right away. I couldn't wait to see this one. Pam Grier, Robert Forster, Michael Keaton, just love this film. I'm actually going to do a ranking of Elmore Leonard films at some point in the future. I've actually had that on my to-do list forever, and it's just been crazy on the channel, just trying to get the stuff, but I'm going to get to that list. I have a lot to talk about with that. But anyway, Jackie Brown, I feel, is one of his, I think it's his most underappreciated film as far as Quentin Tarantino directing. So much to love about this movie. It really it doesn't get nearly enough love, but it's a fantastic film all around. I love this movie. My number 3 is going to be Kill Bill 1 and 2. I still have yet to see The Whole Bloody Affair. I really hope that gets released one day. But, I mean, tonally, they're different films, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I would just love to see how they reconcile that in a single cut. And also, of course, we get the censored version here in the States. It works a little bit. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the whole scene in Kill Bill 1 where the bride goes to Oren and to meet Oren, and they cut a lot of the violence down, and of course they did that whole black and white thing. Artistically, it's okay, but I know that's not originally what he intended. It was just done for satisfying the censors or the ratings board. But it's just, I love these films together. I revisit them all the time. I would love to see the whole version at one point just released. And it's so much, first off, I love revenge films. And seeing this, a huge revenge tale, is just amazing. And of course that whole Oren fight, I think is probably one of the best fights in modern cinema. It really is. It's awesome. I love the setting. The quietness of the Japanese garden and the snow falling. I absolutely love it. Love these films. They're awesome. I just hope we get some joint cut at some point released. My number 2 is going to be Reservoir Dogs. This was not my first. My first was, of course, the number 1, but this was my second Tarantino film. And I was fortunate enough to, I did see it in cinemas. They did a re-release at the local movie theater. And absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, it's basically a talking movie. There isn't a whole lot of action, but I think this is where, even it's his first directorial debut. And I think he did a phenomenal job. The dialogue he had down right away. Like, that was down right away. The cuts, the camera angles, the shots just all look fantastic. It's also, you know, I think as we get further away from it, it's becoming more and more underappreciated, I feel. This was his film. Yes, we all talk about the number one. But without the number one, without this one, there was no number one. So let's dive into number one, Pulp Fiction. Yeah, that was a time. That was a time in my life where I was really coming into appreciating movies on an artistic level. And Pulp Fiction just really did that for me. It gave me that love of cinema. I've always loved movies, but going to the movies, appreciating an art form in cinema, Pulp Fiction is just one of those films. And it's, I would say, his best film, even though he's still finding his way in a lot of aspects. I will say that the third act is probably my least favorite of this. But, you know, hey, it's still, like, altogether an amazing movie. And I love it so much. I watch it at least once or twice a year, no problem there. And it's a fantastic film overall. Bruce Willis, you know, Ving Rhames, John Travolta, like, his big comeback was this movie. And just, it's a phenomenal film. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor before you go see any Tarantino film. I would say see Pulp Fiction. It's a fantastic movie. There's just twists and turns all over the place. I love this movie so much. And I'm pretty sure it's a number one on many of your lists. So, that being said, let me know in the comments, how would you rank the Tarantino films? Are you going to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Let me know, and in the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and put out videos every single day. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.